You see them nearly every Sunday on ESPN, the best bowlers in the world competing in the finals of a PBA Tour Championship. But how do they get there? What does it take for your favorite pro to make it to the finals and on to ESPN? Coming up, an all-access behind-the-scenes look at an entire PBA tournament through the eyes of the players. All the great shots, all the inside info, and all the raw emotion that is part of every stage of a PBA event. It's wall-to-wall coverage of the Cheetah Championship from the $2.1 million World Series of Bowling in Detroit. It's qualifying day for the Cheetah Championship at the inaugural PBA World Series of Bowling at Thunderbowl Lanes here in Detroit. And defending Cheetah champion Parker Bone III is in big trouble. The Hall of Famer is in danger of missing the cut.
Not a matter of being in the cut right now. I'm way out of it. So let's just cross the fingers and hope that we got the right ball for at least a six-bagger every game.
The 32-time title winner isn't the only big name in trouble. Other all-time greats are struggling as well, including Pete Weber, and even fellow legend Walter Ray Williams Jr. Some of the tour's younger stars aren't doing much better. Tommy Jones is falling behind, and so is two-handed sensation Jason Belmonte.
Today's been a little rough. I'm very rough around the edges right now, so a few games left. My goal is to get to about 100 and something over. Good bowling is needed to get to there, but if I can get to there, I'll be pretty happy after the dismal start that I had.
The PBA has set up the World Series of Bowling to be as demanding a test as possible. Over the course of 35 days, 7 PBA Tour championships, including the Cheetah, will be contested here.
He's the root of all evil, and playing is his fault. It's his fault.
Adding to that demanding schedule is the level of competition. Players from around the world have come to try their luck against the PBA's best.
From an early age, we've been, from 15 and 16, we've been watching the tour. And, I'm watching people like Walter Ray and Norm Duke and Mika. It's pretty cool to be playing against them.
Even one of the PBA's all-time greats has been allowed to return via a golden parachute exemption. Brian Voss is taking full advantage.
For me, it's an opportunity. I've got nothing to prove. I've accomplished a lot out here. But I really feel that when I'm healthy, I can beat the best in the world.
While the bowlers aren't competing head-to-head here on qualifying day, there are only 28 spots available in the tournament's next stage, match play. If you don't make the cut after the 2 7-game sessions of qualifying, you're gone.
We all go through the same process. Bowling, there's no carryovers, there's no buys. We don't get any freebies based off of previous titles or how you bowled the week before. So you have to go back out there. And I think, like most sports, the guys that work hardest are the guys that are being the most successful over the long haul.
Parker Bone is working as hard as he can, trying to find something that will make a difference and stop the bleeding. But ultimately, Parker would fall, finishing 69th out of the 72 competitors with a 206 average over 14 qualifying games.
Well, the biggest thing is when you're bowling on the Cheetah pattern, you know that the dinner bell is ringing. There's a lot of strikes out there to be had. And the look I had pretty much most of the day was a 2-0 or 2-10 look. And you are not going to win this tournament with a 2-0 or 2-10 look.
Among those exiting with Parker would be Pete Weber, Tommy Jones, and Jason Belmonte.
Look, mate, really disappointed, really upsetting. It's a long way from Australia to come out here. You know, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have changed absolutely everything. There wasn't one thing that I would have kept the same. I felt like all the eyes were on me, and I don't know why I do that to myself. I mean, there's 72 guys out here who are exempt, and you know, eyes are on everyone.
I threw a lot of different balls, a lot of different angles. You know, the scores were really high. It wasn't very hard to hit the pocket. It was just hard to get your ball to go through the pins the right way. Some guys had it from the go, and some guys found it, and you know, I just wasn't one of the ones that got through all. You know, I went through everything I had with me, and you know, chalk it up to not being prepared enough.
I feel like I bowled pretty good. It was who struck and who didn't strike. So, you know, I didn't strike as much as the other guys, so we'll go on to next week.
But what about all-time great Walter Ray Williams? At one point, he was down to 36th, another potential cheetah victim. But Walter Ray would come alive in the last 3 games, throwing a 255, a 277, and a 279 to jump all the way up to number 14 and claim a berth in match play.
A couple of 270s, that's got me right back into it, so hopefully I can throw some strikes like that tomorrow in match play.
And then there is 32-time PBA Tour title winner Norm Duke.
Watching along this morning. Some guys are real happy. Some guys aren't very happy at all.
What kind of guy are you?
Kind of mid to top hat. But it's fun watching all the unhappy ones. We get a kick out of that, even though we feel sorry for them.
Duke's destiny in qualifying was never really in doubt, a picture of consistency through the 14 games. Duke would ultimately qualify 3rd. But the one having the most success in qualifying this day wasn't a Norm Duke or a Chris Barnes or even a Wes Malott. That honor would go to a 23-year-old non-exempt player from Cheektowaga, New York, named Ryan Simonelli. Simonelli is a pro, but one who had to earn his way into qualifying for the Cheetah Championship through what's known as a TQR, a tournament qualifying round that consists of 7 games. He dazzled in that event, besting nearly 100 other hopefuls, and is repeating his performance here in Cheetah qualifying against the best bowlers in the world. Throwing an old-school urethane ball, Simonelli dominated qualifying, finishing nearly 90 pins ahead of Malott, Duke, and PBA veteran Jack Jurek.
I'm definitely on cloud 9 right now. I came in with some confidence because of the urethane ball that came out, and it's allowed me to stay in my comfort zone, and it's really been successful for me. So far, there's been enough friction out there for it. Different grip pressures and different ball speeds have been a key, but as long as I can get that ball to the pocket, I'm going to be throwing it.
Simonelli is clearly the star of the qualifying rounds, but match play awaits. Will his good fortune continue?
The PBA Cheetah Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By Bear Aspirin, expect wonders. And by the United States Bowling Congress, the all-new bowl.com, your online source for all things bowling. Log on to bowl.com today.
It is day 2 of the Cheetah Championship, one of the 7 PBA Tour titles up for grabs at the inaugural $2.1 million PBA World Series of Bowling here in Detroit. A relative unknown named Ryan Simonelli has surprised everyone, capturing the #1 seed in this tournament with a dominant performance in qualifying. Simonelli, along with Wes Malott, Norm Duke, and Jack Jurek, each receive a bye in the round of 28 and advance directly to the round of 16.
That was big to me because the best of 7, you know, those guys, they really know how to break lanes down. They're really smart, and an extra match bye is really helpful to an up-and-comer like me.
For match play, the tournament has moved into the arena bay here at Thunderbowl. These 20 lanes sit over what was originally a small bowling stadium that was home in the early 60s to the fledgling National Bowling League.
Well, there's a huge difference between the 2 bays, the qualifying bay and the match play bay, because of the lane surface itself. You're going from a brand new synthetic surface to an older synthetic surface. So a lot more friction in the match play bay, and the players are going to have to go through some huge adjustments.
For the most part, there were few surprises in the round of 28. Chris Barnes, Sean Rash, Mike Wolf, and even the returning legend Brian Voss all made it through. But number 8 seed Michael FAGAN nearly went home, dodging a bullet against Jeffrey Roach, a local Dearborn, Michigan hopeful who at one point led the match 3-1. In Game 6, all Roach needed to do was mark in the 10th frame to win the match and send FAGAN home.
And, you know, at that point, you just figure that's it.
Still felt like I was lined up great, you know. I just threw a horrible shot in the 10th. And my hand was getting sweaty, so I was scared to throw the ball hard and threw it a little slow and just kind of never got there.
He made that mistake and let me back in, and he actually bowled a pretty decent game the last game too, and he happened to miss a spare, and that pretty much made the difference.
FAGAN would end up taking Game 7 and the match, despite having some issues with the cameraman.
Basically, the way I was lined up when I was throwing it that far to the right, you know, my target basically was right where the camera was, and you know, he's trying to catch our match and Ryan's match at the same time, and he keeps going back and forth and moving his hands and legs. Is he gonna stop moving ever? Yeah, he keeps moving his hands. He keeps basically my target is right at him, and he keeps moving his hand.
All right. I think we have radio comment. We'll let him know exactly where the problem is.
All right, thank you. My emotions, my roller coaster of emotions was definitely on high this match. It was, you know, I felt really good coming into a match, and then started to go into panic mode, and then had to calm down and just try to do the best I could. So.
And then there were the trials of one of the most intimidating players on the tour, Mika Koivuniemen, who faced a player from Liverpool, England, Stuart Williams.
Yeah, it's not so much he's intimidating, he's just really good. I mean, yeah, he's like, I don't know, Mika's a hero somewhat to most of the European players.
But there was no hero worship to be seen on the lanes as Williams jumped out to an early 2-game lead and was on track to make it 3.
I started off pretty well for the first couple of games, and Mika was a bit, he was in between two balls. It looked like he didn't know whether to go a bit straight or a bit further inside, and then the third game we were both pretty close, and I needed a first strike in the 10th frame. And then I left the 9-pin, which meant that Mika won that game at 2-1.
Hopefully that wasn't a bad break. That's going to be the turning point of the match. When you got Mika, you got to put him down. So I guess I'll have to throw some more better shots this game and hope for the best.
They would split the next 2 games, making the score 3-2 in Williams' favor. Game 6 would be close, but in the final frames, the game and the match looked to be in the Englishman's grasp.
I could get up and strike in the 9th and 10th to win, and then I threw probably the worst shot through the whole match and left the big split, and it kind of felt like, you know, I just had to decide what I was going to do for the next game, and I spared in the 10th frame, and Mika needed a mark to beat me.
Mika leaves the 10-pin, a routine spare that will send the match to Game 7. And just that quick, the match was over.
Mika just doesn't miss spares. I don't know what happened, but he missed it, and, well, there we go.
I can't remember anything like this before, so it's tough for me. I usually think I'm a great spare shooter, and I guess there's once for everything.
Well, I just beat probably the best European bowler ever, so yeah, I'm pretty thrilled at the minute. I mean, it's the first match I've ever played on the exempt tour, so to win anyways, pretty cool, but yeah, it was a very strange way to end the match.
It's a match Mika will likely never forget, one of the biggest mistakes of his career, but he won't find any sympathy from his opponent.
Well, he didn't feel too sorry for me when he beat me 3 weeks ago in Barcelona, so I guess I don't feel too sorry for him now.
Mika isn't the only native of Finland competing in the Cheetah round of 28. Osku Palermo shares the same serious demeanor as his fellow countrymen, but that's where the similarities end. Osku throws two-handed, like Australian sensation Jason Belmonte, but even though they have the same style, Osku was overshadowed by Belmonte as a media darling last season.
Of course, it's a little bit depressing to see we've been around for the same time. We won about the same amount of things. He just won one in here and was here for the year, so he got the attention because the media is bigger here. But I'm here, so we'll see what happens.
Welcoming Osku to the round of 28 was none other than Walter Ray Williams Jr., the old-school American legend versus the new-school Euro two-hander. They would split the first two games, with Osku throwing a 279 in the second. But this miss in Game 3, along with several splits, all on the left lane, cost Osku dearly, including his heartbreaker in the 8th frame of the final game.
Those 5 high hits that I had on the left lane, that's cost the match. So, because I found the pocket all the way, I had a lot of strikes every game. But it's just like I got punished a little bit too hard this time.
Walter Ray would win 4-2, striking out for a 279 in the final game. But in the round of 16, Walter Ray would match up with a player a little closer to his own style and his own age, fellow Hall of Famer Norm Duke.
It's a different match when you're bowling against Walter. You have to prepare differently. And it's going to be a war.
With the round of 16, the top 4 seeds were once again on the lanes, passing directly into the round after qualifying. But for some, it would be their first and last match of the tournament. Number 1 seed Ryan Simonelli would square off with his friend Ryan Schaefer, who rolled a perfect game in his come-from-behind win over Thomas Newell in the previous round. But even though Schaefer was able to win a one-ball roll-off in Game 5, he was ultimately unable to stop Simonelli, who took the match 4-2. Making the trip in from Cheektowaga, New York to see his son win yet again is Angelo Simonelli, a dad who has nurtured Ryan's talent from childhood.
He used to stay up and he couldn't sleep some nights, just thinking about why I wasn't succeeding or I wasn't to my full potential. And throwing that urethane ball, that was one of his ideas.
This bowling ball was my godson. There's no question about it. And of course, at first he didn't like it because it went too straight. He told me it's backing up. I go, yeah, that's right. It's backing up. Now square up and learn how to use it.
He's a great dad. You know, I couldn't ask for better parents. And they've always wanted what I've wanted for myself. And they probably wanted it more than I did. They did everything in their power to get me everywhere I needed to be. And for that, I'll forever be appreciative.
Simonelli may be on his way to the Cheetah quarterfinals, but some of the other top seeds weren't so lucky. Number 4 seed Jack Jurek threw a perfect game in his match against Derek Sapp. Yet it would be Sapp who would walk away the winner after 7. And Stevie Weber practically did the unthinkable by sweeping number 2 seed and Player of the Year Wes Malott. The Big Nasty managed only to average 196 over the 4 games.
I just got lucky, and he wasn't himself, to be perfectly honest. So I got, lucky that I didn't get the best, that he had to offer, because I know it should have been way closer than 4-0.
Being swept was in the forefront of Norm Duke's mind after he found out who his opponent would be here in the round of 16. None other than his old rival, Walter Ray Williams Jr.
It's a different match when you're bowling against Walter. You have to prepare differently. And it's going to be a war unless you're going to get swept 4 games like I did last time he and I matched up, which, that's all I thought about was the humiliation of getting swept. And as good as he is, to get swept, that's a painful thing.
Even though this was a brand new match, Norm's pain would resume almost immediately. He was playing better than Walter Ray, yet he couldn't win.
The first game, Norm never missed the pocket. I missed it 2 or 3 times, and I beat him. The next game,
He might have missed the pocket once, and I missed the pocket like 3 times and beat him that game again.
I was frustrated, to tell you the truth. I was just saying to myself, you know, getting beat's one thing, but handing him matches is another thing. And that was the case the first couple of games. To strike to end the match. The first match I left a solid 9. He doubled to beat me. And the second match, I threw it right through the face. He doubled to beat me. He does what Walter does, but I didn't do what Norm does, and that's where I was. You know, why can't you play right now like I know you can? And so I did. I summons up a little bit of I guess, rallied the troops and came back.
And then the next game, he shoots 279. He never missed a pocket again, and I missed a pocket like twice every game at least, and 3 times, a couple times. I didn't know where the ball was going.
Norm would go on to capture 2 more games to take the lead in the match 3-2. And while Walter Ray found life in Game 6 with a 257-248 victory to tie the match up, he would falter in the deciding 7th game, managing only to scrape up a 188 to Duke's 267.
I was just kind of lucky to get as far as I did in the match. And Norm way out-bowled me, and he barely beat me 4-3.
In the next round, Norm would take on the winner of Chris Barnes versus Sean Rash. Both players are Wichita State University alumni. Both easily won their first-round matches. And both are big fans of the Cheetah oil pattern, for which this championship is named. As the Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood animation demonstrates, the Cheetah is the shortest of the 5 animal oil patterns, and it traditionally offers the highest scoring.
The biggest difference with the Cheetah pattern is we have a pretty defined hook spot. The rest of the patterns are really flat, but the Cheetah on the gutter, on 1, 2, 3, there's some friction out there. Now, there's not much help in the middle lane, and that's what makes it different from a house shot. Those house shots have a lot of hold. This one, you have to throw it to the right. It can still be tricky, but because our entry angle is off of 1, 2, 3, this is why it's the highest scoring pattern for us.
But Barnes and Cheetah did not get along so well during the match against Rash, who jumped out to a 3-1 lead over the veteran. In Game 4, Rash threw a 299 and looked unstoppable. Nothing was working, so Barnes tried playing Rash's game instead, throwing more of a hook than he normally likes, to cover more area, and to hopefully disrupt Rash's angle of attack on the pins.
That's what I was hoping for, but it's a desperation move. I mean, it's not something you want to go to. It's like option 14/2B3, but I didn't have a whole lot of options left.
Fortunately for Barnes, his last-ditch strategy worked. After being down 20 pins in what could have been the final game of the match, the former Player of the Year threw 8 consecutive strikes to survive. Barnes would go on to crush Rash in Games 6 and 7 and take the match.
If you can beat somebody doing what they do best, you're sending them a message.
Also in action in the round of 16 is Hall of Famer Brian Voss. Voted number 13 of the 50 greatest PBA players of all time, Voss failed to earn the points needed in 2007 to continue on the tour as an exempt player because of injury. But thanks to a special golden parachute exemption, he's back.
I'm not here to cash. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to win. You know, when you've been in the limelight for many, many years, and then all of a sudden you're over here, you know, you start to kind of miss that. And I want to get myself back in the limelight. And the only way to do it is you got to win.
Voss has been competing against players close to his own age, like Steve Jarris, who he defeated in his first match here, and against some that aren't, including his next opponent, Michael Fagan, a 28-year-old who has recently had Voss's number.
You know, I've got a little history with Mike. He beat me in the European Championships in Paris this year. He beat me in the last game in Denver to make the television show. So I had a little history with him.
Yeah, he wants to win. He's fiery. I mean, he's still got it. So he's going to be a tough match always.
And in the end, there was only one word to describe this match.
It was a strike-a-thon.
Game 1 went to Voss. He missed only once for a 279. Game 2, Fagan returned the favor with an identical score. Game 3, Fagan wins again with a 267. Game 4, another 279 for Voss, with Fagan failing to strike out for what would have been a game-winning 290. For Voss, it was the turning point of the entire match.
Oh, that was huge. But you know what? I knew in that match, when I jumped left of him, he was gonna come to where I was, and he had to be a little more precise the way he was playing them. But it would be a whole different story had he had struck out. That would have been crucial. That would have been devastating, actually.
But there was no stopping Brian Voss. Tied at 2 games apiece at the start of Game 5, Voss fired yet another .279, his 3rd of the match. And in Game 6, Voss incredibly rolled another 1-miss game of .277. In his 4 winning games, Brian Voss failed to strike just 4 times.
What I love about Brian Voss is he dances the fine line between arrogance and just being really good. And people know him, he's name recognition, and I love it when guys can still do it in their upper years. At 51, what he's doing is awesome.
Voss would advance to the quarterfinals where he would face an opponent even younger than his last, the #1 seed, Ryan Simonelli.
He's intimidating. I grew up watching him bowl, and he's got that cocky, I'm too good attitude.
The PBA Cheetah Championship is brought to you by Ebonite, Bowl to Win. By Turbo Bowling Accessories. Put some extra drive into your game. By Bear Aspirin. Expect wonders. And by Barbasol. Enjoy the rush, America. New Barbasol Pacific Rush Shaving Cream. Head to PBA.com for your chance to win a prize pack from the PBA. Simply click on PBA Prize Pack and you can win a PBA 50th Anniversary book, game, or merchandise and autographed items from PBA stars. No purchase necessary. Just head on over to PBA.com today. The pros competing at the 2009 World Series of Bowling will ultimately compete on 7 different oil patterns, including the Cheetah. But are those patterns really that difficult? Now's your chance to find out. The PBA Experience Showdown is coming soon. League bowlers get their chance to win a spot in a PBA TV show, Bowling Against the Pros. It starts in your local center with a USBC certified PBA Experience League, and who knows where it'll end.
Most of the people at home bowl on typical house shots, and it's totally different from bowling on what we bowl on. And if we can get more of these PBA Experience Leagues out there, people learn that they're not really easy to bowl on.
You see us on TV and we bowl 180 or 2-0 and the common response is, hey, I could do that. These guys aren't that good. And then now that they have the option to bowl on our patterns and then they see what it's like, and it gives them a new respect for what we do week in and week out.
Welcome to a PBA Experience League, a joint venture between the PBA and USBC, where you get a chance to bowl on the lane conditions the pros use and see what they're really up against. Even if you master the Cheetah pattern at your home center, there are a whole new set of challenges when you face the best in the world. You will definitely have your hands full.
You know, if you bowl in your PBA Experience Leagues at home and you're bowling against just some other guy that averages 220 in your league, and then you come and you're bowling next to Chris Barnes and Walter Ray, and you know, now you're going to feel a little bit of pressure. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to catch a double.
So do you have what it takes? If you get into a USBC certified PBA Experience League, you'll find out. Yes! Yes! Bowl.com has all the information you need about the PBA Experience Showdown and how you might get selected to bowl against the 5 PBA champions here on ESPN, one of which will be the winner of the Cheetah Championship. Next week's PBA World Series of Bowling telecast is the Viper Championship. 07-08 Rookie of the Year Rhino Page takes on veteran Steve Jarris, and Michael Haugen Jr. will face off against new sensation Ryan Simonelli. And in 2 weeks, Amleto Monicelli, Bill O'Neill, Sean Rash, and Ronnie Russell will meet up in the Chameleon Championship. Both shows at the regular time, 1 p.m. Eastern here on ESPN. Coming up, Kenny Mayne returns with our wall-to-wall coverage of the Cheetah Championship. Norm Duke, Brian Voss, Chris Barnes, and the young #1 seed, Ryan Simonelli, make their way to the quarterfinals. Will the kid from Cheektowaga be able to hang with the world's best?
Of the 72 players who went through Cheetah qualifying at the World Series of Bowling here at Thunderbowl Lanes, only 8 remain. And of those 8, only half are PBA Tour title winners. 3 of the remaining 4 have earned exemptions on the PBA Tour through the Tour trials. And then there is the #1 seed, Ryan Simonelli, the 23-year-old non-exempt player from New York. As young as Simonelli is, there have been younger players than he to win on the PBA Tour. Norm Duke was just 18 when he won his first championship, the youngest ever. And today, some 27 years later, he's trying for number 33. Looking on as she did when he captured title #1 is Norm's mom, Martha. She and her sister, Carolyn, have been here all week.
They are great supporters, and the joy that I get to spend time with my family, especially in this part of our lives, when I'm still competitive and they're still able. You know, it touches me.
So after facing one of the greatest the sport has ever known in Walter Ray Williams Jr., Norm would go up against the man many describe as the best bowler in the world today, Chris Barnes.
Never seems to get any easier, but you know what? I'm into it. I'm into it.
But actually, Norm did make it look easy, sweeping Barnes in 4, with the closest match being Game 4, a margin of 31 pins. Being swept isn't something Barnes experiences too often, and he wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, your pride takes a beating. At the end, a loss is a loss. But the more frustrating part is just 4 games worth of futility.
To get out of there 4-0 against Chris, that is so sweet, because if had the momentum turned just a little, he's liable to go 4-0 against me. So I'm just glad it's over.
But Chris Barnes would not be the only player swept here in the round of 8. 4-time PBA title winner Mike Wolf was sent packing by Derek Sapp, who came out firing with a 279 and never let up. After knocking off Mika Koivuniemi in the round of 16, Stuart Williams would face Stevie Weber here in the quarterfinals. Weber would throw a 289 in Game 1. Then Williams answered with a 279 in Game 2. The pair would continue to trade games, making it all even at the start of Game 5. Then things started to go badly for Williams, who split here in the first frame. And followed that up with this small disaster in the 5th. Williams ceased to be a factor in the match, and Weber would go on to win 4-2. So in the semifinals, it would be Weber versus Duke, and Sapp against the winner of the Battle of the Ages, 23-year-old Ryan Simonelli, versus the 51-year-old legend, Brian Voss.
You know, he's intimidating. I grew up watching him bowl, and he's got that cocky, I'm too good attitude on TV, and it's an edge.
I've seen Ryan play. I mean, he's got a handful of revs, and he can strike with the best of them. But, you know, I'm striking too.
And striking is what they both continued to do, with Voss savoring nearly every one.
He definitely got me going a little bit, a few times there, with his excitement that he had. And I had to make sure I had made good shots right after that.
The two continued to go back and forth, with Voss taking games 1 and 3 and Simonelli 2 and 4. That 4th game is where Voss really began to appreciate Simonelli's talent.
He just kept striking. You hope your opponent gives you an opening somewhere, and more often than not, you get at least a little sniff, and he just kept striking.
And Voss finally got that sniff in Game 5, when Simonelli left an open frame in the 7th. But the Hall of Famer left pins in both the 9th and the 10th, and the game went to Simonelli, 231 to 227. Down 3 games to 2, Voss started Game 6 on the wrong foot and failed to convert the spare. Though Voss would follow up with a double, Simonelli wasted no time in capitalizing on that error, throwing a 4-bagger and jumping out to a 36-pin lead.
Well, you're constantly reminding yourself, come on, you don't give up. It's never too late. It's never too late. You know, we've seen it so many times in bowling. All it takes is one error by an opponent and the whole match can swing. And, you know, he just never made those errors. You know, he's really a really good player, and when players do that, when they don't make mistakes, and you're always trying to come from behind, you can't win. Can't win.
It is the end of the road for Voss, but the first step of his second chance. If nothing else, he proved that the golden parachute exemption went to the right guy.
You know, I've bowled more than 600 tournaments in my life, and I've lost 576 of them, so losing is part of the deal. So it'll be another day, I guarantee that. It'll be another day.
Ryan Simonelli has succeeded in taking down one of the sport's all-time greats. The kid who came into the Cheetah Championship through the TQR is just one step away from the final.
You can never really expect to do so well. You can really only hope and dream. But I'm just riding the wave right now.
The Cheetah Championship semifinals are next. It is the semifinals of the Cheetah Championship here at the PBA World Series of Bowling with Norm Duke versus Stevie Weber and Ryan Simonelli against Derek Sapp. But 3 of the 4 have never won on the PBA Tour. Norm Duke is the only one among the semifinalists to have ever captured a PBA title, and he's done it 32 times. In Game 1 of Simonelli versus Sapp, the #1 seed would make the first misstep, leaving the 9 in frame 2 and the 7 in the 3rd. That put Sapp in the driver's seat as he immediately strung together a 4-bagger, well on his way to taking the first game. But Simonelli would finally answer with a strike in the 4th and seemed to have found his groove, much to his dad's relief.
He's doing fantastic. He amazes me. So this guy's really tough too.
Both would continue to strike, but it was Sapp's game to lose.
Sapp perfect through the first 7 frames. Here he is in the 8th. And a cruel close to that opening 7-bagger.
Simonelli would strike out to win and then went on to capture Game 2. But in Game 3, the lane conditions began to favor Sapp.
After the 2 games, I got up 2-0. They started transitioning really weird, nothing like they had been. He found it after struggling the 2nd game. That's when he went front 10, and I knew he was going to shoot a big game, so I started looking around, fishing around for something else.
A ball change set up Sapp for a chance at a perfect game.
It was a good ball change, I guess, after the first 2 games. But, you know, I'm not really, you know, I never think about shooting 3. I'm just thinking about bowling a good game and, you know, trying to win the match.
Sapp perfect through the front 9 here in Game 3, looking to drop a Bo Derek. 10 for 10.
The Bo Derek? Are you serious?
You love that one. I know you do.
I'll tell you what I love is watching Derek Sapp. What a great game he's got. Watch this arm swing come a little bit to the outside, tuck back underneath him. A lot like Walter Ray Williams Jr., but with a lot more hand.
And the streak comes to an end there.
He didn't get his perfect game, but he did get the Game 3 victory, handily, 287 to 213.
He was striking, and I had to try to outstrike him, and that game I did.
But the big game didn't worry Simonelli, who was still up 2 games to 1.
That was his 3rd ball already. We both were going through a lot of transition, and I knew his look could stay the way it was. And so it was just a matter of time, I felt, before that look went away.
Simonelli was apparently right as he crushed Sapp in Game 4, 255 to 190. But in Game 5, things would be much closer.
Must-win game for Sapp. And he gets all 10 to drop in the 10th with Simonelli up 2.
One more strike from Sapp, and Simonelli would have to double to win.
Got to have it. Put some pressure on Simonelli.
And leaves the 7-10 again.
If I double there, he has to double. You know, instead he only needs a mark. You know, that's a huge, huge swing. You know, it's a big difference needing a mark versus needing a double. That goes without saying.
Simonelli would strike on his first in the 10th, essentially locking up the game and the match.
Yeah!
Thanks, boss. Thank you. Appreciate it.
For Sapp, the tournament was bittersweet. He bowled well, but the 2 splits in Games 1 and 5 were fatal.
If those 2 shots fall, I'm probably up 3-2. You know, and we would have still had to get going. But, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, the way he's bowling right now, he's bowling with no fear. You know, every time he's needed to make a shot in match play, he has.
Simonelli has made his first PBA Tour final of his young career. His dream, as well as his father's, nearly within grasp.
When I went up and hugged him in the bleachers, he said, "I can't believe it, 1-1 away." And he was already on the phone with my mom, calling her and telling her because she couldn't be here. And she was crying over the phone. And he was almost speechless.
Like Simonelli, Stevie Weber is looking for PBA Tour title #1. The former Team USA member from New Orleans is a survivor of natural disaster and personal loss. He and his wife were victims of Hurricane Katrina in 2005. But the real tragedy in Stevie Weber's life was the passing of his mother and his brother within the same year. Both continue to inspire Stevie, especially his late brother Jimmy, whose name he sees every time he throws a ball.
You know, he passed away, 6 years ago now, and I not forgot about him, but I don't think about him as much as I should. So, felt guilty, got this, put it in a place where I always see it. So I think about him, every day.
His mother and brother would no doubt be proud of Stevie's performance here at the Cheetah Championship and the fact that he has advanced far enough to meet a legend in the semifinals. Norm Duke is taking aim at title #33, and like any seasoned veteran, doesn't appear to be feeling the pressure.
Take that.
But in game 1 of their matchup, it was Duke who stumbled first.
So Duke, the single pin spare attempt here in the second.
Uh-oh.
A little slip and a whiff.
The approaches on the other bay were a little bit on the tacky side. These are okay. The only thing is when you get to that left side and you try to shoot your spares, it is so slippery where I almost fell on my, almost fell down. You feel like you're moving on air, like maybe on an air hockey table, with the air coming out on it. And I'm a good spare shooter, but that puts a whole new dynamic in it.
Weber capitalized on Duke's mistake with 6 consecutive strikes in the 4th through the 9th frame.
Stevie had me in game 1, and I think if he marked or if he threw a strike, it's over, and I'm down 1-0, and he just winged one.
What was that? I had the first match well in hand, and I just lost focus and just threw a bad shot.
Looking to make the washout, throw the 1 into the 10. The ball covers the 2-4.
Damn it.
Made a really good shot at the split. Sent the head pin around the 10 pin on the washout conversion and didn't even mark.
Focus, man. That won't happen again. So he's got a strike. I can't believe I just did that.
So that gave me a chance to double in the 10th to win the game. That's a hard place to put Steve because he looks like he's about to go 1-0 and now he's 0-1. And for me, I feel like I have a free shot, so it's an easier 10th frame. That was definitely the momentum changer, and I tried to keep the momentum on my side. As long as that's happening, it's easier to take a guy's heart out because he knows he's not only spotting you, maybe a little bit of this, but also momentum.
After taking games 1 and 2, Norm's momentum stalled in game 3, leaving the 4-6-7 in the 4th frame. Weber would go on to win the game 236-226. But his good fortune didn't last for long. Game 4 would be a disaster.
Spare, strike, spare for Weber to open up. Game number 4. Here he is in the 4th. He's the 3-6-10.
He failed to convert the spare, and 3 frames later, ran into even more trouble. Duke would prevail in this game and in the 5th to take the match.
you fight all week and you just lose focus for that split second, and that's all it takes, you know. And it was just really just that one shot, you know, that I lost focus in the first, you know, in the first game. Then you bowl in somebody of Norm's caliber, you just cannot do that. No, everything's cool. It's a good week. Take a couple days off and get ready to rock and roll again.
The final match is set. Hall of Famer Norm Duke versus young gun Ryan Simonelli. Next. The Cheetah Championship final here at the World Series of Bowling seems to be a classic David and Goliath matchup. 23-year-old Ryan Simonelli versus Hall of Famer and two-time PBA Tour title winner Norm Duke. Simonelli doesn't appear to be feeling the pressure, at least not yet.
I was actually pretty relaxed. He's actually good friends of the guy who is backing me now. And he was telling me that my backer texted him and told him to take it easy on his kid.
Ryan even said before we went out there, are we going to have fun? We said, I don't know. Depends on who wins. Somebody's going to have some fun, I'm sure of that.
He's from Buffalo, New York. Please welcome Ryan Simonelli.
Now I'm getting a little nervous. I'm getting close to the exemption to win, and that's what I'm fighting for. So now it's within grasp. Now I'm thinking about it.
And he's capable of burying me. He's capable of burying anybody because in this bowling center, all week long, that's what he's done.
One of the greatest legends the sport has ever produced. Please welcome PBA Hall of Famer, Norm Duke.
You know, the people were cheering for both of us, and you know, people are making little comments. You know, there was some laughs. Me and Norm were joking around as well, and with the fans, it was good interacting, and it definitely kept me calm.
Simonelli will start us off on this best of 7 match play finals here at the Cheetah Championships. Good start for the southpaw.
Yeah, he doesn't leave anything in the bag. He just gets a whole handful. Ryan Simonelli's got a lot of game, but he doesn't have the experience of a Norm Duke. And even though Norm Duke won at the age of 18, Norm's come a long way since then. And if you look at what he's done the last 10 years, his last 10 has probably been his best.
Norm Duke looking for his 33rd Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour title. You see over his left shoulder wearing the bright yellow jacket. His mom, Martha Crooks, in attendance, as is his aunt. And both of our finalists start off with strikes.
For the first time ever in the history of the PBA, we're going to have a best 4 out of 7 title match. For Ryan Simonelli, the newcomer, first time on television, it's a huge advantage for him because he knows that if he gets off to a bad start, he still has other games to make it up.
Second frame for Duke. Back-to-back opening jacks for Storm and Norman.
What'd you expect?
About what we got. Simonelli with the strike in the first. Here he is in the second. Oh, the late kick of the 7 for the lefty from Buffalo.
Both Simonelli and Duke would strike in the second frame of Game 1. But then Simonelli began to have some issues. Leaving the 7 on this pair of lanes had been a problem for Simonelli in another tournament.
The semifinal in the sweeper that I bowled, where I shot a $190 to lose, I actually was bowling on that pair, and I left 3 plaque 7s on that lane, on that left lane.
But Simonelli and his urethane ball seem to have put the history on this pair behind, stringing together 2 more strikes. Meanwhile, Norm was having problems of his own.
Norm in the 5th. Oof, right through the nose.
That's called the Greek Church. There's only one thing worse than throwing a big 4 when you have a 4-bagger, and that's leaving a Greek church on a four-bagger, which is exactly what Norm did.
Norm would strike in frame 6, but even so, he had opened the door wide for Simonelli.
So a strike for Norm in the 6th. Here's Simonelli looking for 3 in a row. Again with the 7.
Sometimes throwing urethane, you're going to leave those plaque 7s.
And he would leave the 7 again in the 7th frame on that left lane. But Duke failed to capitalize, leaving the 10 in frame 7. And the 6 pin in the 8th.
I mean, this match has come down to 2 things. Ryan Simonelli not being able to carry the 7-pin on the left lane, and Norm Duke getting off to a red-hot start, and now all of a sudden he needs a roadmap to get to the pocket. Norm Duke, 10th frame, working on a strike, and strike out to shoot 232 and put all the pressure on young Simonelli.
Gets the 10 to drop, but leaves the 4-7.
While Duke continued to search for a fix, Simonelli dialed in the double he needed to win the game.
I expected to be so anxious and so worked up that I would make multiple bad shots. I felt pretty good. I felt confident in what I was doing physically.
Even though he's lost the first game of the best-of-7 Cheetah final, Norm Duke isn't worried. He feels the lane conditions are starting to work in his favor.
We're starting to carry oil down. The more oil you carry down next to the pins, the harder it is to get your ball to drive those pins. So you're going to start leaving corner pins. So already I knew that the pace was coming down. But then when you factor in the left lane rack and the right lane rack and how they affected me on the right lane, him on the left, I knew the scoring pace was not going to nearly touch 250, 260 like we're used to. And that plays into my hands. So, automatically I said, hey, whoa.
Opening strike for Duke here in game number 2. So Simonelli up now in the first. He took game number 1, 226, 212. Again, the bugaboo with the 7.
Another 7-pin for Ryan Simonelli. Now you're starting to ask yourself, hey, is this the beginning of the end for this kid? Maybe not.
Come on, carry.
Double for Ryan Simonelli in this best of 7-game match.
I felt pretty good coming out of the gate the second game because when I moved a little bit left on the right lane, I was able to hold the ball on line. And I actually did the same thing on the left lane, and I threw it really well and really firm. And it held line, but I knew that it didn't want to. And so I was trying to be a little bit more careful.
That strategy was starting to work as Ryan continued to strike in the 4th and the 5th frames.
Hambo!
Well, right now, Norm Duke is trying to exercise some internal demons that he's got going on mentally. There's no coaching. He's his own coach. He's trying to kick himself in the butt to get himself going. The other thing he's trying to do is make the right adjustment to get his ball to strike. He's got a lot going on right now.
All right, that game's over. You know what he passed? You know right now. It's on this team. On this team, we fight. Half left. Damn, you could ride it. That's 5, but left of that one hit. Okay. Think about it.
So Norm started this with the bullseye on him, right? He's the veteran. He's supposed to win this. And now the roles reverse a little bit, and he's the underdog, and he can't seem, somehow, to move beyond that first game.
Norm Duke trying to micromanage these adjustments to try to get his ball to strike. You heard him say a little right, it's light, a little left, it's high.
And he leaves the 4-9 there in the third.
He is not happy.
He's trying to figure something out.
Norm would fail to pick up the spare, and his bad luck would continue into the fourth frame.
As a 20-something-year pro, I have learned that just trust that it's not the racket, it's not circumstance, it's not luck, it's not this. Something is wrong, fix it.
So Ryan's hot. Norm's talking to himself. This game is in the books. But the greats will find motivation in sometimes the oddest things.
By 42 pins.
How many?
Down by 42.
That's what I heard. It sounded like it just ricocheted off of everything in the building. Down by 42. How many? Killed me. And I had to say something, you know. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating.
Hey, is Norm Duke playing mind games with Ryan Simonelli? I don't know. It's not his first barbecue.
Gamesmanship? Oh, no. Gamesmanship's to me is when you put a quarter in somebody's shoe, you know, and they don't know it for 3 or 4 days. But then they start walking and limp, and they go, dog. And there's a quarter in there somewhere. That's gamesmanship.
You know, it was a good laugh and all, and it actually relaxed me. It was actually better for me. That helped me. I think maybe, if anything, he was trying to help himself calm down.
It absolutely lifted me. It absolutely lifted me. The crowd, their response, had they just sat there and did nothing? Oh, then I shrink. But because they laughed and they got cozy with me, then I grew. Big difference there, and I think that was such a momentum change for me. Because all I can feel is, you know, I'm going down. And it lifted me.
So down 42. How much?
42.
42. Here is Duke. So the 7th begins now for Duke. Looking for a 3-bagger. And gets it.
Yeah, it don't count this guy out just yet.
I already knew that he was going to string him. I mean, he's Norm. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. As soon as I left the second 7-pin, I said, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do. He's going to string him. He doesn't care what I do.
Whatever was wrong, Norm had it fixed. Consecutive strikes in the 7th, 8th, and 9th gave him 5 straight.
After the 4-9 split, Norm's down 42, has some fun with the crowd, looking to possibly go down 0-2 to Ryan Simonelli. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Momentum just changed direction.
Simonelli up in the 8th, off a strike in the 7th. Third 7-pin he's left this match.
Yeah, everything else is strikes. 3 7-pins. Otherwise, this could be a runaway.
And it would happen again in the 9th.
Hey, what do you know? Another 7-pin. So despite some horrible pin carry coming down the stretch, Ryan Simonelli finds himself stepping up in the 10th frame with a chance to still win this game.
Simonelli up in the 10th off a pair of spares. 10 drops.
Wow.
Woo, exhale.
Oh, 2 more strikes. He can shoot 238 and force Norm Duke to double in the 10th.
Again, Simonelli looking for his first ever Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour title. Looking to go up 2-0 in this best of 7. It's not the 7 this time.
A strike will lock up the game for Norm.
What is the number? And the number to me is a spot that they cannot win from. So I can look up and say, well, they can make 237. Well, 238 is the number. Or they can make, this is the number. Well, I need to know the number. And when he left a 7-pin on the left lane, the number is now irrelevant. 1 strike, you win. No strike, you lose.
So Simonelli done with a 228. Duke, strike, will win it. There it is. We are tied up at 1.
That was some amazing carry right there.
After being down 42 pins, Norm Duke has come back to win Game 2 and tie the match. Will he be able to keep the momentum on his side? Game 3 of the Cheetah Championship Finals is next.
The PBA Cheetah Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By Barbasol, enjoy the rush, America, new Barbasol Pacific Rush Shaving Cream. And by the United States Bowling Congress, the all-new bowl.com, your online source for all things bowling. Log on to bowl.com today.
Even though he was able to fight back and snatch a win away from Ryan Simonelli in Game 2 of the Cheetah Championship Finals, Norm Duke is preparing himself for the worst.
You have to condition yourself to look. He's going to make a move. He's going to make the right move, and he's going to throw 10 baggers at you. That's what he's done all week long.
Let's see how Simonelli reacts as we begin Game 3. He is up first.
When you can really feel or get a sense that the momentum's really starting to swing towards the Norm Duke camp.
On conditions like this, when it's the pocket's basically given to you, it's now touch. Now you know your odds of strike is a lot better. So I kept telling myself, if you can stay in it to the 10th, stay in it with this kid to the 10th. Just stay in it. Give me a shot, and I think I can do it.
Simonelli, an open frame 8 in the first. Here's Duke's opening offer in Game 3. Drop and give me 10.
Norm would strike again in the second for the double.
The momentum's in Norm's corner. Ryan Simonelli needs to turn things around. He needs to do it real quick.
Simonelli up in the second. I think we're just going to have audio re-rack. He leaves the 7. We just kind of hit a button.
Good idea.
Keep playing it.
Simonelli's next frame wouldn't be much better. This time he left the 10 pin. It was only the 3rd frame and Norm was moving in for the kill. But surprisingly, the Hall of Famer made a rookie mistake.
I picked the wrong ball up on a double, threw it, thought it was perfect, left a 10 pin, came back and went, oh boy, I just picked up the wrong ball. I threw the wrong ball. Wow. That's age right there now. There's nothing else you can go there. That's got to be age. That stuff happens because it's sport, because it's competition, and you're nervous. You're not yourself.
That would be the last mistake Norm would make in the game and the match. The Hall of Famer went on a tear.
Looking to make it 6 straight strikes here in the 9th. Oh, that's a great run, people.
This guy's in fuego.
Game 3 would go to Norm, 257 to 213.
It was to the point where I was really trying to make perfect shots. And when you're at that point, bowling against someone of his caliber with the look he had, you know, you kind of know what's going to happen.
As hard as he tried in Game 4, Simonelli simply could not beat the left lane. No matter how many different balls he threw, Norm prevailed 236 to 190.
He finally started changing balls in the left lane, and at that point, I knew that will be the death of him.
All I could do was hope that that carry down went away and my ball started breaking a little bit harder at the point. I tried 4 different balls, I believe. Both of the naturals, which I was going back and forth between, and I have a rising and a lunatic.
Dead, because he had no experience with those bowling balls in this house, had none. It's like he's going to virgin territory. In his mind, that was the only thing left.
Honestly, frustration wasn't in my mind. It was a little bit more of a depressed feeling. You know, you come that far, and then making good shots and trying different things, nothing can work. You know, it's just a helpless feeling.
In what would be the 5th and final game, Norm shifted into high gear, unleashing a 6-bagger and a final score of 258.
Time now for the Geico Championship recap.
Rob, the turning point in this match was Game 2, 4th frame. Norm's down by 42.
How many?
All of a sudden, he snaps out of his fog like somebody just hit him with a cattle prod. He goes on to win that game and the next 3 to seal the deal.
Final effort here in the 10th for Norm. Smile says it all. Yeah, end with the strike. Why not?
Great ball.
Be proud of yourself, man. That left lane rack. Thank you. That left lane rack just gave you a couple more hurdles. That's it.
When I went up to congratulate him, he started telling me in my ear that I had nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh, you've been beating people in this place for 5 days in a row. I want you to remember that, not the 2nd place. Remember what you've done. Thank you. You should be very proud. I'm proud of you.
I was speechless. It was definitely heart-stopping.
I want to say that Ryan Simonelli has done one terrific job representing himself. He's going to get out of this tour qualifying rounds, and he's going to be exempt very, very soon. We're looking forward to having him because of the class that he carries every day to the lanes. We appreciate that.
I think Ryan Simonelli's a real deal. Remember, he led the TQR, he led qualifying, and he finished 2nd to one of the greatest players that's ever lived in Norm Duke, and only because he had really bad pin carry, especially on the left lane. I think the future's really bright for Ryan Simonelli.
I definitely want to be back next tournament in the finals, so yeah, I'm ready.
For Norm Duke, title number 33 couldn't have been sweeter.
All right, hold on a minute. Gotta love on the girls. Oh boy, I can't.
Say hi to my family.
I can't tell you how few opportunities that athletes have to make their family as proud as what I know they are. I'm a happy, happy man because of that. I mean, I'm happy that my wife is watching the television show at home with my son, and I'm happy that they're rooting and they're jumping around in the living room, and it's a different feeling when your mom is sitting there so nervous for you that she can't even unfold her hands for 3 days, and then you went far. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Norm Duke is a grateful champion, but his win here is well earned. As you've seen, the road to a PBA title is much more than several games on television. It is a demanding physical test and even more grueling mentally. But the world's best players compete under these conditions week in and week out. And it all starts again in just a couple of days here at the PBA World Series of Bowling. Join us next Sunday here at Thunderbowl Lanes to see the final matches of the Viper Championship at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Kenny Mayne. Thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.